actually, well, the floor is dry, but they require 48 hours before you start dragging stuff across it. So I can at least come in and work here before I move all this stuff back, or at least some of it. And what I have here on my two horses is a manifold. And this manifold was located on that wall with that vacuum in the middle of it. And there was a bandsaw and two belt sanders along this wall. I want to keep this wall relatively clean now. I think it'll add to the open space of the shop if I don't put tools over there. So what I'm doing is planning on taking this and relocating it to this wall, right about there. And I am going to have belt sander, which are both fairly low tools, and then the bandsaw right here. And everything in my shop is always on wheels, so when I need to use something, I can just pull it out. That's the plan anyway. And as usual, it always looks good in my head. I hope it looks good in actual practice. Well, this thing is up. One belt sander will connect here, the bandsaw will connect in the center, and then over here will be the other sander that I have. And on this end is where it will connect to the dust collector in the other room. Well, this is the first thing that I moved back. It contains, all my lure making stuff, everything from hooks and other hardware to some specialized tools to feathers. One thing I've never done when I built these cabinets, I never finished them as far as putting any paint or varnish on them. They're too grody to varnish, but they might handle some paint okay. This Craftsman belt sander I've owned since I was 22 years old, back in, what would that make, in 1976. I got it when I left the Camden School of Luthiery in Camden, Maine, and decided I was going to make guitars. And I made a bunch of them. And the belt sander was one of the tools, along with the bandsaw, that I decided to purchase. This belt sander was purchased by another family member, and I inherited it. It's a Harbor Freight belt sander, very similar to the other one. This one will go over here. Now, these tools originally were over on this wall with the vacuum cleaner in the middle of them, so it took up the whole wall. This was over here. I'm hoping to stretch some space out on this floor so that when I bring my workbench out about here, my assembly table, I'll have a larger space back here to move around in, and then it usually goes up against the table saw as an outfeed table. So this will be a much more open space and still have access to the tools and the dust collection, which will hopefully connect over there to that one. But the good news is I'm opening up a little hole in here now, and I'll soon be able to get in here and straighten some things out and hopefully not crowd this area up too much while I'm doing it. It's a nice workspace, but you know, over the years, in this case, what, almost 25, you kind of collect stuff and then do things and wish you had done some things differently. So it was time to redo some of that. And maybe it'll be the last time I do it. I'm 70 years old, so you know, I won't be doing it another 25 years, and I probably won't feel like it another 5 or 10. So this is rearranging it to make it a little bit better. When you weren't looking, I just did a clean out of this room. I didn't show you what it looked like beforehand because it was just a solid wall of stuff when you open the door. Now it's become more of a storage area and a lot better than it was. There's a couple of guitars that I made. Took out a lot of stuff here, made a big trip to the dump. You know, sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and get rid of stuff. And this is what's left from that room that I still have yet to sort. This bin, combination of tools and other supplies. This bin, which has some metal in it that I don't want to throw away and a few other things. And just a couple of things in this bin. But that'll be for later. Kind of neat little pull down drawers, and I've got 3 of them. I've got one up already. They were over there if you looked at my last video, and they just happen to fit just between these, and the studs that they want to screw to are almost exactly in the right place, so I'm able to screw them to the wall. There's going to be one there, one below that, and one below that. And I'm going to be populating them with something besides just some random old screws. You know, I've got 3 or 4 different sizes of rivets, which I use quite frequently, and some smaller sheet metal screws, which I'll use once in a while. And the rest I'll leave empty till I figure out what's the best choice to put in them. So I'll clean those up better when I figure out exactly what I'm going to do with them. One more to put down here. I have decided to do the other half of the room. This is the part that I had done, and I've started to move everything from this side over to the semi-finished side. And here it is, sort of opened up. I still have several things to do. There's not a ton to move over, but this wall, these walls are much busier. And if I'm gonna paint, there's gonna be a lot of moving of that. Oh, that air conditioning feels good. It's about 88 degrees here today. Well, the place is clearing out more and more. Still have a bit to do before I can start prepping the walls. These were my clamp racks. And let me show you my clamps. You've heard the old adage, you can never have enough clamps. I can safely tell you I have enough clamps. These are 60 inches down here. You can see all the parallel clamps, which I love. Long ones there, and then underneath this whole pile is rows of short ones. And then all of these clamps. But I think I'll call it a day, and tomorrow we'll be cleaning out the rest of this and then wiping down the walls, and then I will have to put the spackling on to plug up any holes and things that I've made over the last 25 years, and then I will be able to do some painting. And I am not done. There's a lot more stuff to move, but we'll get there eventually. Kind of fun, isn't it? When you have the time, and I do. Tomorrow, I will do a little sanding on the places that I touched up with the spackling, and then I will redo the woodwork because it's gonna kind of take a couple of coats. Then after that, I gotta clean this up and do the floor. Well, I've got the walls all painted. If it looks a little streaky now because I have wet paint on drier paint, as I had to do a lot of the edges by hand. And right now I have trying out this tannish color paint. It looks more flesh color, but that's okay. And I am going to be doing my cabinets and a lot of the things that are on the wall. Here's my clamp rack with this to see how it goes. I have a little bit darker color too that's going to be used for the doors on the cabinets. But I need to finish off some of this wood that's in here. It hasn't been finished off in 25 years. I pulled out all the tools that are on wheels, and I have got one coat of paint on the tops and the doors. The shelving is done, the things that are on the wall is done, and then the boxes, which will be the same color as those shelves, so much lighter, but still quite muted. I know my colors aren't really exciting, but I see workshops online that the cabinets are black and the doors are red and so forth, but that's not me. I tend to be dull, I guess, but I like more muted tones a little bit. Well, I am very hot, and I'll tell you why in a second. The good news is that all of the walls are painted, and everything I'm going to paint right now is painted, and I'm starting to move things back. So we have all the walls, the shelves are painted, I painted the cabinets, and they are drying, but this is what has happened. I went to move my file cabinet over that had lots of tools in it, metal tools. And this thing isn't your typical file cabinet. I mean, it's a real one. In the bottom, there's about 4 to 6 inches of something in there. It's got to be lead because bricks or cement just isn't that heavy. So that if you were to pull these drawers all the way out, all of them, and they were all filled with something very heavy, it won't fall over. Moving this thing is a bear. Just moving it 2 inches closer to the wall, I had to put a crowbar underneath to lift it and push it over. My guess is this weighs something north of 200 pounds, but I'm not sure. It's extremely heavy, but it's a nice cabinet. But what happened was, I was moving it from this spot over to here with a barrel cart, and it fell over right here on its side and caught my foot under it, but I've got a pretty thick foot. I got a scrape, that's it. I managed to pull it out pretty quick, so it wasn't under there very long, but I could not lift it. For the life of me, I couldn't lift it. You can't get a grip on it. It was on the ground. I tried like prying it up like 6 inches, getting underneath it, and I couldn't lift it. And no, I'm not as strong as I used to be, but this thing was heavy. And what made it heavier was it was full of a lot of tools and stuff. So what I had to do is I had to open the drawers sideways on the floor and take all of this stuff out and just let it fall onto the floor. Now, this isn't exactly the way I was planning on cleaning out these drawers, but now I think, it'll be harder, but everything's down there. I was able to lift it up with a series of levers and fulcrums and putting things underneath it and propping it up, and I finally got it up about a foot off the ground, and I was able to get my back into it and barely tip it up. I thought I was going to lose it again because there isn't much to hold on to. Well, it's been quite an afternoon, I'll tell you. But that's done, and I have this mess. Well, I've got some of the tools put back. They're not hooked up yet, but they're in their positions. I'm not bringing the miter saw over here yet because I have wood to put up there and it'll be easier to walk. Making a dent in the mess that I made by piling everything over on this side. Right now, I'm taking all of those clamps and I'm starting to repopulate my clamp racks. And I still don't have enough slots for all of them. For example, I have like about 20 of these and not quite enough slots, but I kind of double up on them. I'd like to find a solution for that. This corner is sort of taking shape. The file cabinet that fell over here, everything I just put in 5-gallon buckets and I'll deal with it later. So put the drawers back in and the doors back on the cabinets that I had taken off to paint them. There are some more over here. That's where those 3 items go. I've been wiping things down and cleaning things off with a little spray cleaner and everything where I can, and I'll wax all the cast iron afterwards. But I know very well that I could do that every day and there'll be a coating of dust on everything no matter what. The miter saw is back in the position that it's supposed to be in. And I've selectively put some wood back on the shelves. I have an attic with a very large trapdoor and pull down ladder here. And I had some large pieces of mahogany, red oak, and a lot of black walnut, which I'm happy to have, but I save it for special things. And those went up in the attic. So I'm glad to see this thinned down a bit. I actually threw some stuff away too, because it can get pretty cluttered. Well, the next time I am going to get to the assembly table, the large assembly table, new top, new edges to it. I think I'm going to paint it like I did the cabinet. So that'll all together, that'll be a job. And then we'll move on from there. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you would like to. It certainly helps bring things to the top when people are looking for it.